Okay, hi guys. Welcome to Thursday's science lesson. So please log into TCI via Clever. And go ahead and get into the class. And then we are going to continue with weather and climate. And scroll down just a bit so you can get to lesson 5, how is weather predicted, and click on that. And then dance over to the purple section and choose text with notes, please. And then we need to click up on the section box. We need to get out of the introduction. So click onto your triangle and choose section 3 using weather technology. Okay, and once again, you can stay in TCI and follow along as I read. Or you can move to Notability where I'll be traveling to annotate. We will be doing the activity though on the bottom, the questions here where you see the green boxes. This is what you will be posting on Seesaw today. So again, you'll have to return to TCI if you go to Notability with me. So I'm going to go there now. And here we go. So we are using weather technology today. I'm going to come back to the picture right here with the captions because I'm not quite ready to talk about that yet. So the first thing that I think about when I read using weather technology, I think about innovation based on our benchmark, Unit 5, how we improve things in new and different ways. And I think about weather, it's full of all kinds of technology. Think about our cell phones right now and iPads. They can just give us the weather and know where our location is. So there's lots of technology going on. So let's go ahead and get started to read. Weather can change from hour to hour. Well, we certainly know that to be true. It can change from place to place. Weather is very complicated. To make sense of it, scientists need to do more than observe the sky and weather maps. So, collecting data, or weather data, so that's my first heading, kind of returning to benchmark here for a moment. My text feature is a heading, collecting weather data. A meteorologist is a scientist who studies weather. Meteorologists collect weather data from many different places. So meteorologist, now I've got data. Data are pieces of information such as facts or measurements. So those would be examples. Facts or measurements would be examples of data. For example, if you wrote down the temperature, humidity, and wind speed, you would be recording data. Meteorologists collect these kinds of data at all times, but they don't take all the measurements themselves. This is done using weather stations. So now, if I go back up to that picture, some weather stations are very simple. In remote places, they report weather data even when people are not there. So this is just a very simple weather station. A few weeks ago, when we were in science and we were doing the temperature measurement and we were collecting the data over those 5 days, and then we looked at the data on those charts for those 3 different cities to try to determine a pattern when it was the hottest or when it was the coldest. We were using data to help learn more about those places. All right, so here's another example of a weather station. This would be our second example. These weather stations can be found all over the world. This station is at the South Pole, and it collects many kinds of weather data. That would be a really interesting weather station, I'm certain. There we go. That's a better color. That would collect lots of interesting data. Cold data, I'm sure. So weather stations have tools that observe and record data about weather automatically. So observing and recording are kind of key things from this section. Observing data and recording, because then they can see trends or patterns, and then that will help them predict. They collect data on temperature and precipitation. I'm hoping that if I were to ask this question in class, what is an example of precipitation? I would see hands just shooting up in the air. And if I'd call on somebody like Colin, he might say snow. So if I have precipitation, Colin would maybe say snow. And then maybe, let's see, Ella would say hail. Maybe Noel would say rain. And Funiello would say sleet. All things that fall from the sky. Just a quick review. They collect data on the air masses and fronts as well. So that's what we learned about yesterday. I'm looking at this picture and I'm wondering what this giant thing is. So, sorry guys. So I'm going to go ahead and read the weather station locations, and then I'll come back to the picture. Weather station location. So this is my second heading, another heading, benchmark. I miss teaching you guys like crazy, so I'm trying to squeeze it all into when I have you as an audience. Thousands of weather stations are set up all over the world. There are stations on land and on ships. That's interesting. At sea. People use computers to understand the data from weather stations to predict the weather. Weather is not just about the air near the ground. It is also about the air high up in the sky. So, meteorologists launched weather balloons. Weather balloons collect data about the air well above Earth's surface. Tools on the balloon collect data about winds and temperature. They send the data to the weather stations. So if I go back here, now my question mark makes sense. It is hard for people to get to the upper atmosphere, so they launch weather balloons to take measurements there. So this is a weather balloon, and that must be a massively strong balloon, not to pop if it can go way up into the Earth's atmosphere. What's that made of? So that's one type of technological tool that will collect data. And then people launch some stations even higher, up into space. These are called weather satellites. Weather satellites have tools that collect data about the atmosphere below them. The data are sent to computers on Earth. Scientists use all of this information to track and predict the weather. So this is my main idea down here, that scientists use all of this information to track and predict the weather. So if I was making a list, like I would be for annotating, so things that they use are weather stations, weather balloons, satellites, and all those things help them track information and predict the weather. Okay, so now we're going to go back to TCI. And for this activity, you're going to be using this chart that has data on it to answer the questions below. So first question says, which of these weather stations has the coldest reading right now? So you're just going to use this chart, find the coldest temperature, and write a complete sentence about which weather station has the coldest reading. A complete sentence in the green box. And then number 2, which of these weather stations has the hottest reading right now? Again, you're going to type a complete sentence in the green box. And then finally it says name the 3 main types of weather stations people use to learn about the weather. Hint, each type is in a different kind of location. I feel for this third green box, you're going to need to refer back to the text to help you get some hints about the answers to this green box. You will not find it, you will not find it in the above chart. So then when you are completely finished filling out all 3 green boxes, you will take a screenshot of these 3 green boxes and post this picture on Seesaw. And again, that's how I will see that you participated and completed the activity for science for Thursday. Thanks for participating. You are fabulous listeners. I can't wait to see what you wrote on Seesaw.